Have you ever found yourself staring at your phone, waiting for a message, hoping it's from them? They've hurt you time and time again, but that one text makes you believe, just for a moment, that maybe this time things will be different. Then they go cold again, and you're left in the same cycle, wondering why you keep going back to someone who doesn't value you. This roller coaster of emotions can feel addictive. You know all the reasons why you shouldn't be with this person, but the highs and lows, the glimmer of hope followed by disappointment, keep pulling you in. You know they've disrespected you, neglected you, or made you feel small. Yet when you're apart, all you can think about are the good memories, the laughs, the intimate moments, the connection. You convince yourself maybe this time will be different, but deep down you know it won't. But as the Stoics remind us, we cannot control others, only ourselves and our responses to life's challenges. It's a painful, confusing, and exhausting experience, and an all too common struggle for many people. We're wired to seek comfort, connection, and security in familiar places, even when those places are harmful. And when we feel alone or vulnerable, the idea of going back to something familiar seems safer than facing the unknown. So why do we keep going back, even when we know better? Here's the truth. It's not just about love, and it's not just about the other person. It's about the hope that things will change, the belief that maybe if you do something differently, or if they finally realize how much they care, things will work out. But here's the hard truth. Hope alone can't change reality. You're stuck in a cycle of temporary relief. You get back together, and for a moment things feel okay again. You remember why you loved them in the first place. But after a few days, weeks, or even hours, the same patterns resurface, the same arguments, the same pain, and every time you return, you lose a little more of yourself. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. Breaking free from this loop isn't just about cutting ties with the other person. It's about reconnecting with yourself and understanding why you're drawn to the same kind of pain again and again. Why do we keep going back? Have you ever found yourself wondering, why do I keep returning to someone who's hurt me? Or maybe you've caught yourself clinging to hope, even when deep down you know it's just prolonging the pain. So why is it so hard to break free? To truly understand, we need to look at the psychological patterns that keep you stuck in these toxic loops. One of the biggest reasons we stay in unhealthy relationships is tied to something known as our attachment style. This is the unique way you connect with others in relationships, shaped by early experiences with caregivers, and it influences how you respond to closeness, conflict, and separation. Imagine this. If you have an anxious attachment style, being alone might feel like the worst kind of pain. You may have a deep-rooted fear of abandonment that drives you to hold on tightly, hoping that if you just try harder, the other person will finally give you the love and security you crave. It's easy to get caught in a cycle of clinging to hope, thinking this time, maybe things will change. And even when it doesn't, the fear of loneliness feels stronger than the discomfort of staying. Or maybe you see yourself more on the avoidance side. Picture this. You want connection, but when things start getting intense, there's this urge to pull away, to emotionally protect yourself. You may find yourself in a pattern of getting close, feeling overwhelmed, pulling back, and then returning once the fear of loneliness creeps in again. It's a push-pull dynamic that can make leaving feel almost impossible. Some people experience both, the push and the pull, longing for closeness but fearing it. This is often called a disorganized attachment style, where relationships become a constant battle between wanting love and feeling wary of it. This inner conflict can lead to chaotic relationships where you're constantly questioning, is this person safe? Can I trust them? It's a painful tug-of-war that can keep you trapped. Understanding these attachment styles can be eye-opening, helping you see why you're drawn to certain people and why certain behaviors feel tolerable. It shines a light on why breaking away from these patterns feels like such a struggle. The Stoics taught us to recognize patterns in life and to act with reason instead of impulse. But when emotions take over, we often fall back into the familiar, even when it's harmful. The chaos feels comforting, even if it's just an illusion of security. 2. The role of childhood trauma. Have you ever thought about how your childhood might be impacting your relationships today? The truth is, those early experiences play a huge role in how we connect with others as adults. If you grew up in an environment where love felt unpredictable, conditional, or hard to get, it's easy to end up with a distorted view of what love should be. Were you taught that love had to be earned? Maybe affection only came when you behaved a certain way or met specific expectations. If so, you might have learned to believe that love has to be worked for. In relationships now, this can show up as you feeling like you need to prove yourself or tolerate mistreatment, holding on to hope that if you're just a bit better, a bit more patient, or a bit more loving, things will finally change. It's exhausting, but that belief runs deep. Did you grow up with instability? If your childhood was chaotic, whether because of money problems, emotional outbursts, or other stressors, it's not uncommon to be drawn to that same kind of instability as an adult. As strange as it sounds, we are often drawn to the familiar, even when the familiar is harmful. You may not consciously seek out toxic relationships, but if chaos and inconsistency feel normal to you, stable and healthy relationships might feel foreign or even uncomfortable. Were your emotions ever brushed off or dismissed? If you grew up in an environment where your feelings weren't acknowledged or were even criticized, that can lead to a struggle with self-worth. This can make it easy to stay in unhealthy relationships because deep down, you might feel like you don't deserve more. When you're used to having your needs ignored, it can be hard to believe you have the right to ask for anything better. Here's the thing. Childhood trauma doesn't always look like big, obvious abuse. Sometimes it's the quieter patterns of neglect or invalidation that shape how we see ourselves and what we think we deserve from others. To break free from toxic relationship patterns, it helps to recognize how those early experiences might be guiding your choices today. 3. Self-worth and self-sabotage. Why is it so easy to settle for less than we deserve? When it comes to staying in toxic relationships, a lot of it boils down to self-worth. If you don't really believe you're worthy of healthy love, it becomes easy to put up with disrespect, neglect, or even abuse, telling yourself, maybe this is the best I can get. But why would anyone believe they deserve to be treated poorly? That's where self-sabotage sneaks in. If you've taken on negative beliefs about yourself, whether from tough experiences growing up, past relationships, or just society's pressures, you might actually sabotage your own happiness. You might hang on to relationships that hurt you because they feel familiar, and deep down, you doubt you deserve better. It's almost like part of you expects things to go wrong, so you stay in situations that match that belief. The first step to breaking free is recognizing this self-sabotage for what it is. When you realize that the pain you're experiencing doesn't reflect your worth, but instead reflects old habits, it can be a game changer. From there, you can start challenging those beliefs and making choices that reflect the value you actually hold. 4. The allure of familiar pain. It's not that you're choosing pain on purpose. It's just that our brains are wired to seek out what feels familiar. So toxic relationships can end up feeling almost comfortable because they match the patterns you've known your whole life. This is why healthy relationships might feel off to you. If you're used to the roller coaster of a toxic relationship, being with someone steady and kind might feel weird. It might even seem too calm or too good to be true. Breaking this cycle isn't easy. It takes a conscious choice to embrace the discomfort that comes with stability. You have to sit with the unease of a relationship that doesn't swing wildly between highs and lows, and learn to trust that love doesn't have to be chaotic to be real or meaningful. The emotional roller coaster. Why you keep going back. Now that we've explored some of the deeper psychological reasons behind toxic relationship cycles, let's look at the specific emotional dynamics that keep you stuck. When you're in a toxic relationship, you're on an emotional roller coaster. There are extreme highs when things are going well, followed by crushing lows when things fall apart. This cycle creates a sense of addiction to the relationship. You become addicted to the hope that the highs will return, even when the lows outweigh them. 1. The high's temporary relief. When you get back together with your toxic partner, there's an immediate sense of relief. You feel close to them again, and for a moment it feels like everything is going to be okay. You might even convince yourself that things are different this time, that they've changed, or that you've figured out how to make it work. This temporary relief feels good because it soothes the pain of separation and longing, but it's just that, temporary. The problems that caused the breakup are still there, simmering beneath the surface, waiting to resurface once the initial high wears off. 2. The lows, crushing disappointment. Once the high wears off, reality sets in. The same issues that drove you apart in the first place start to reappear. Maybe it's the disrespect, the lack of effort, the emotional distance, or the same toxic patterns of manipulation or control. At first, you might try to ignore it, but soon the familiar feelings of pain and disappointment return. You remember why you left. You feel hurt, betrayed, and let down again. You wonder how you could have been so foolish to think this time would be different. This crushing disappointment creates a sense of hopelessness, which can drive you further into the cycle. You feel stuck. You've invested so much emotional energy into the relationship that walking away seems even harder. You start to believe that maybe this is the best you can get, or that love is supposed to hurt this much. And then the longing starts again. 3. The longing, selective memory, and emotional amnesia. When you're apart from your toxic partner, your brain starts to play tricks on you. You begin to experience something called selective memory or emotional amnesia. You remember the good times, the laughter, the connection, the intimate moments, and your mind conveniently pushes aside the pain. You forget the arguments, the tears, and the sleepless nights. Instead, you replay a highlight reel of the relationship, focusing only on the moments that made you feel happy, loved, and secure. This selective memory can be incredibly powerful because it fills you with longing, the longing for those good moments to come back. You miss the connection, the intimacy, and the closeness, and you start to believe that maybe, just maybe, this time will be different. It's in this state of longing that you're most vulnerable. You begin to romanticize the relationship, telling yourself that the problems weren't that bad, or that you can fix things if you just try harder. And so, the cycle begins again. But here's the truth. The good times don't erase the bad. And unless there's been real, substantial change on both sides, the pattern will repeat itself over and over again. Breaking the cycle. Understanding your emotional triggers. If you're finding it hard to let go of toxic relationships, understanding the things that keep pulling you back is key. This takes some real, honest self-reflection and a willingness to confront some tough truths. Here are a few common emotional triggers that might be keeping you stuck. 1. Fear of being alone. One of the biggest reasons people stay in toxic relationships is the fear of being alone. Sometimes just having someone, even if they aren't good for you, feels better than the thought of being by yourself. This fear can be even stronger if you have an anxious attachment style, or if you've been taught to believe that you're only valuable when you're in a relationship. But here's the thing, being alone doesn't mean being lonely. In fact, learning to enjoy your own company can be incredibly empowering. It's a chance to reconnect with yourself, to heal, and to rediscover your own strength. The more comfortable you get with being on your own, the less you'll feel the need to cling to someone unhealthy just to fill that space. 2. Low self-worth. When you don't believe you deserve better, it's easy to settle for less. Toxic relationships can make you feel worthless, broken, or unlovable, and over time this starts to feel like reality. You might even start believing that no one else would want you, or that a healthy relationship is something you're not cut out for. That's why it's so important to build a healthy relationship with yourself. When you start seeing your own worth, you'll be less willing to put up with toxic behavior. The more you value yourself, the more you'll believe you deserve respect, kindness, and love. 3. Codependency, the need to be needed. Another reason you might stay in toxic relationships is codependency. If you feel like your worth depends on how much you can do for others, you might find yourself wrapped up in fixing or saving your partner, to the point where you lose sight of your own needs. You may feel responsible for their happiness, putting their well-being above your own. In some ways, focusing on their issues allows you to avoid dealing with your own pain. But this self-neglect only deepens the cycle of toxicity. Breaking free means shifting your focus back onto yourself, prioritizing your needs, your happiness, and your healing. 4. The need for validation. Sometimes people stay in toxic relationships because they crave validation from their partner. If you struggle with low self-esteem, you might lean on your partner's approval to feel good about yourself. In a toxic relationship, those occasional moments of affection or praise can feel addictive, like little highs that keep you hooked. But true self-worth doesn't come from someone else's approval. It has to come from within. Building your own sense of worth means you're not dependent on someone else's opinion to feel valuable. 5. The illusion of control. Finally, there's the belief that if you just try hard enough, you can fix your partner or make the relationship work. Maybe you think that if you love them enough, they'll eventually change, or that if you just say things the right way, they'll finally see your worth and start treating you better. But here's the hard truth. You can't change anyone else. Real change only happens when they choose it. No amount of love, patience, or effort will make someone into the partner you want if they're not willing to change. Holding on to this illusion of control only keeps you in a cycle of frustration and disappointment. Reclaiming your power, how to break free for good. Now that we've talked about what might be keeping you stuck in a toxic relationship, let's focus on how you can break free. This isn't just about cutting ties with someone. It's about reclaiming your power and healing the parts of you that have been hurt. 1. Recognize the pattern. The first step is to see the pattern for what it is. Recognize that you're in a cycle of hope, disappointment, and pain. Once you can see this clearly, you can start to detach from the emotional roller coaster. This isn't about blaming yourself. It's about being aware of what's happening so you can make the choice to step off the ride. 2. Set boundaries with yourself. Setting boundaries isn't just about telling someone else what's okay and what's not. It's also about setting limits with yourself. This might mean creating a rule like, if I feel like reaching out to my ex, I'll wait 24 hours and talk to a friend first. Or if I start romanticizing the relationship, I'll remind myself why it didn't work. These internal boundaries help you break the habit of running back to a toxic situation. 3. Do the inner work, healing childhood wounds. If childhood experiences or attachment styles are keeping you in these cycles, then it's important to dig deeper and heal those old wounds. Therapy, journaling, or just reflecting on questions like, what did I learn about love growing up? And, do I believe I deserve love or do I feel like I have to earn it? Can help you uncover the roots of these patterns. The more you understand, the easier it becomes to break free and build healthier relationships. 4. Focus on self-love and self-compassion. The most important relationship you'll ever have is the one you have with yourself. When you learn to truly love and accept yourself with all your imperfections, you won't settle for being mistreated. You'll know you deserve better and have the strength to walk away from anything that doesn't support your well-being. Self-love doesn't mean being perfect. It's about being kind, compassionate, and respectful toward yourself. It's knowing your worth and refusing to accept anything less than you deserve. Moving forward, building healthier relationships. Once you've done the work to heal and step away from toxic patterns, you're ready to start building the kind of relationships you actually deserve. This doesn't mean everything will be perfect. Every relationship has its ups and downs, but by doing the inner work, you'll be better equipped to spot red flags, set boundaries, and communicate what you need. Rewiring your brain, breaking free from toxic patterns. Healing also means rewiring your brain to stop associating love with pain. Toxic relationships create patterns in our brains that make unhealthy dynamics feel normal, so breaking free from these patterns takes effort and practice. 1. Create new neural pathways. One key to rewiring your brain is creating new experiences where love feels positive and healthy. This means actively seeking relationships, romantic or otherwise, that are built on respect, kindness, and safety. The more you experience these healthy connections, the easier it will be to let go of old, harmful patterns. 2. Mindfulness and self-awareness. Mindfulness is a powerful tool for breaking toxic cycles. Practicing mindfulness helps you notice your thoughts and emotions in real time so that you can make conscious choices about how to respond. For example, if you feel the urge to reach out to a toxic ex, mindfulness can help you recognize what's driving that urge, maybe loneliness or nostalgia, and choose a healthier response instead. Instead of acting on impulse, you can take a moment to breathe, reflect, and remember why you moved on in the first place. 3. Reframe your thinking. Toxic relationships can leave you with a lot of negative thoughts like, "I'll never find anyone better," or "I must deserve this because I'm not good enough." But these thoughts aren't reality. They're based on fear and insecurity. Start challenging these beliefs. When you catch yourself thinking something negative, reframe it in a more positive way. For example, replace "I'll never find anyone better" with "I deserve a relationship where I feel safe, loved, and respected." Over time, this shift in mindset helps break down limiting beliefs. 4. Choose partners who value and respect you. As you heal, you'll find yourself drawn to different kinds of people. Instead of going for partners who bring out your old wounds, you'll start seeking people who genuinely value and respect you. You'll spot toxic behavior early on and won't feel the need to stay. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, trust, and emotional safety. When you're with someone who shares these values, you'll see that love doesn't have to be painful. It can be stable, supportive, and deeply fulfilling. 5. Practice vulnerability and emotional intimacy. In toxic relationships, true emotional intimacy often gets lost. You might have felt like you were constantly walking on eggshells, afraid to express yourself honestly. But in a healthy relationship, vulnerability is key. Being vulnerable means letting your partner see the real you, without fear of judgment or abandonment. It's about sharing your thoughts, feelings, and needs openly, trusting that your partner will respond with kindness and empathy. Emotional intimacy creates a genuine connection, laying the foundation for trust and long-term happiness. 6. Keep doing the work. Healing isn't a one-time thing, it's an ongoing journey. As you move forward, continue checking in with yourself and working on self-reflection and growth. Surround yourself with supportive friends, mentors, or a therapist who can help you stay grounded and remind you of your worth. Breaking free from toxic relationships is a brave and empowering decision. It's a journey of self-discovery, healing, and transformation. And while it might be challenging, it's absolutely worth it. Remember, you deserve a love that lifts you up. Love isn't meant to be a source of pain, drama, or uncertainty. Real love is peaceful, supportive, and gives you space to be your authentic self. It's not about perfection. It's about mutual respect, understanding, and compassion. In a healthy relationship, love becomes a refuge, not a battlefield. If you've been stuck in a cycle of toxic relationships, it's easy to forget what real love feels like. You might even start thinking that love always comes with chaos and heartbreak. But the truth is, love can and should feel secure, nurturing, and peaceful. Now that we've covered the steps to break free from the toxic cycle, let's go deeper into understanding yourself. This is where real transformation begins. Breaking free isn't just about leaving the relationship. It's about healing the parts of you that allowed you to stay in it. Final thoughts. Your journey to freedom. As you move forward, remember that breaking free from toxic relationships is a journey, not a destination. There will be ups and downs, moments of doubt, and times when you feel like giving up. But every step you take toward healing is a step toward a brighter, more fulfilling future. You have the power to break the cycle. You have the strength to heal. And most importantly, you have the right to a love that lifts you up. To show your commitment to self-improvement, comment below with "I choose growth," or "I deserve better." Your words can be a reminder to yourself and an inspiration to others who may be going through the same journey. Let go of the past, embrace your worth, and remember, you deserve better. If this video resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe to Stay Stoic for more insights on breaking free from toxic patterns and building the life you deserve. Let's continue this journey together, because you're not alone and you have a community here that supports you. Master your mind and conquer your life.